Here this rainy evening, coming out to the public meeting. Looks like we're going to probably have one of these sessions instead of two, giving the participation level. We have some questions here on comment cards currently, but while we're having the presentation or this session, Q&A session, if you think of a question, there's a few. Kara is over there on your right. David Gibbons over there on your left, and certainly raise your hand if you need a card and a pen. How we work these sessions is if you have a question, please fill it out on the question and answer card. I will read that question then to the panel to answer. My name is Tracy Morris. I'm part of the project consultant team for the Illiana study, and would like to now turn it over to the panel to introduce themselves, starting with Steve Schilke.
Hi, welcome. My name is Steve Schilke with the Illinois Department of Transportation. I'm the IDOT's project manager for the Illiana Corridor Study.
Greg Kosinski with the Indiana Department of Transportation. I am the Director of Project Management for IDOT, and I'm the Indiana lead for this project.
My name is Ed Leonard. I'm with Parsons Brinkerhoff. We're the consultant that's under contract to IDOT to perform the Illiana study.
Okay, for one of the first questions, given the current economic environment, are these population and growth projections accurate? Overall, and then the second part of the question is that they would like to know the overall timeline, if the overall timeline is accurate given the economy. Given the current economic environment, are these population and growth projections accurate?
Okay, so the first question is the purpose and need statements. There's a lot of numbers, and online on illianacorridor.org you can find the Transportation System Performance Report. And what that did was that looked at the entire study area and looked at the transportation needs. What we did for this study is we created our own model for forecasting. And so we have the forecast here. There was a lot of previous feasibility studies. We kind of mentioned that at the last public meeting that got us to the stage where we're at. Those feasibility studies were done with Cambridge Systematics. They were done in 2009 by Indiana and 2010 by IDOT. And what that did was that said, there's a lot of growth projected in this study area. So part of the slideshow, we kind of tried to explain why this study area is chosen, is that there's a lot of growth projected, a lot of population and employment. It's areas to the north are fairly developed. Areas towards the south of this study area are fairly rural. So what we've done is we started looking at a regional model. We've taken the 2010 census data. That's something new since the feasibility studies. We really just revamped the entire forecasting for this project. We also went and took study counts, or actually data collection. So we went out and counted, I think, almost 2,000 intersections. We counted all the intersections to get these forecasts, to get these ADTs. And so these forecasting models are projecting this data. So that's where we got the numbers from. Do you want to have anything to add to your model?
The basis for the model is the regional travel demand model that the metropolitan planning organizations use, both in CMAP and CMAP's also working very closely with Indiana, and we've also been working with Kankakee so that everybody is on the same page with the basis for the population employment forecasts.
And it's important to note that the numbers that you see tonight are for the no-build scenario. That is for no Illiana corridor through the study area. So this is going to happen without a major transportation improvement. Those that you saw in the other rooms, the corridors. So so that is for the no-build scenario, no major transportation improvement. those are the numbers that you see. So those are the growth that we're projecting for this study area and for this region. What we did for the model and what we did for the purpose and need points is when we talk about region, we started looking at the 18 county area. We started looking at really the entire national movement. So we talk about the region. We then started looking at the south sub-region where a lot of growth is projected. South of LaSalle, you can kind of see where that line goes through Indiana. This includes I-80, this includes I-65, this includes I-57. Then we looked at the study area. So as part of the purpose and need, we're looking at the local issues, the local transportation needs. So you have those layers within that purpose and need statement. And then we also looked at freight, and that's the third purpose and need bullet point, is looking at freight, and that kind of takes it all in. It looks at the region, it looks at that south sub-region, and it looks within the study area.
I just want to acknowledge one of the questions here, and I think we've, all three of you have addressed it with the last question, but what is the basis for the 176% increase in population? This has been estimated in the past and has never come about. Is there anything more you want to add to that?
Okay.
Ron?
Ron over here, he produced a lot of the model numbers, so if he wants to.
Well, it's based on a number of factors. One, as Ed mentioned earlier, it's consistency with some of the regional control totals for population and employment for 2040 projected by the regional planning agencies, the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, the Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, the Kankakee Area Transportation Studies. So we used kind of their control totals. We also took a look at past trends in the region. You know, where has growth happened over the last 90 years, actually at the township level. And then we projected forward based on some of these, to be consistent with some of these regional planning control totals, looked at things like available land, local land use plans, to see what the potential growth is. And as you can see, this area, the study area is kind of directly south of an area that's already been developed. So there's a lot of available land, and looking out to the year 2040, we do see that growth occurring in that study area.
Okay, next question. Where is the no-build alternative analysis? You're going to have to do it for NEPA, so it should be here.
Yes.
Meeting at tonight's meeting.
And the no-build analysis is that it's very detailed and outlined in that TSP report, the Transportation System Performance Report. That there is a handout out there that further explains the TSP report and all the modeling and everything that went into that. And so these numbers are the no-build. That is without the Illiana Corridor. So the growth in this region is what we're projecting without the Illiana Corridor. So then what we do is we then start looking at the transportation needs and the modes and the corridors that could potentially solve some of the transportation needs within this area. That's the build scenario. So we don't have those numbers. Tonight we're just trying to get a full range of alternatives to study for that build scenario. And so we're looking at a full range of modes and a full range of alternatives.
The TSP is online, I believe, as well? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Next question. With additional alternatives being submitted tonight, how will they be evaluated?
With all the alternatives, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the best balance of the travel performance along with the environmental impacts. So what you've seen and through the PowerPoint, we talk about a corridor planning group, and that's, we meet in between the public meetings. And so you kind of see the 80 or so alternatives that were suggested, and all of those went through an evaluation process looking at that, looking at these bands, and then looking at the environmental impacts, starting to look at the travel performance, and all of those alternatives, all 80 of these, have been looked at based on the environmental impacts with the GIS and geographical information systems, which towards the back over there is on that computer or on that screen. It's a huge system where we've collected a lot of data, and that's, looking at a 950 square mile area. What we're looking at with the environmental impacts is we're kind of just looking at through a computer system. And then in Tier 2, we talk about Tier 1 and Tier 2. Tier 2 is when we do the field survey for habitat and for wetlands and special waste sites. But we do have a lot of data in the GIS. The travel performance, what that is the TSP report had that no build. Well, now we're starting to look at the build. So we start plugging in these corridors as far as, well, what